No, I'm actually in the comments block of not my building, someone else's building.
Okay.
So I can annoy everyone that I don't live with.
That's awesome. We are now live.
Yay!
Let's see if I can do this.
Oh,
Can you hear this?
Beautiful, yes.
Haha! Welcome to the PaulCast. I am Paul Roth from the PaulTalks channel on YouTube, and I'm joined by my friend. Introduce yourself.
My name is Bridget Chase from the Mouse and Sneakers channel on YouTube.
Awesome. And I am I'm saying that Matt Palka and Kat Young have already joined us in the chat.
Yay!
Hi, Matt and Kat. Oh, that's funny. Matt and Kat.
Oh, perfect. It rhymes.
It does rhyme. And I'm going to make sure that I've got my Twitter notifications on so people can tweet us, and I will see that. Excellent. We had minor technical difficulties with I could see you, but I couldn't hear you before. But now everybody can see and hear everybody else.
It's perfect. I'm really happy that it all worked out.
Me too. I was getting nervous there. I mean, that's the reason. That is the reason why I try to have my partners connect up here in the behind the scenes, as it were, before we get started, for exactly that eventuality.
Yes, that makes total sense.
And you are joining in from Vancouver? I
am, yeah, up in the lovely Great White North, full of polar bears and beavers and moose and sorry.
I think they're called meese. If there's more than one, it's meese, right?
Right, yeah, like geese. We have geese too, Canadian geese.
And Scozio is also joining us in the chat. Hooray.
I'm going to say hi to everyone. How does this work? Open.
So when I open the view link itself in another window.
I did it. Yay. Wow, technology is so cool.
And then immediately be sure to mute the volume on that video. Otherwise, it'll start playing and you'll hear yourself a minute ago.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear myself ever. So like.
Well, that was exciting. It is a lovely sunny day here in the Washington, D.C. area. It is so nice and bright and sunny outside that I went off into the outdoors and got myself some brunch before this whole thing happened. Oh, I forgot to show you that I have the one and only Canada shirt. I have.
Why?
I Cloud Canada. I don't know.
Why cloud? I mean, I know it rains a lot in Vancouver. I guess it snows a lot here too. Is that why the cloud is there, or?
I think it's referring to the internet cloud, the cloud of the internet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't get that one, but that's just because again, technology apparently baffles me. So, but that's
right.
cool.
If it's good technology, it should just work, whether or not you understand it. That's the whole point.
That's true. That's true. Have you been to Canada, Paul?
I have not been to Canada. I think I mentioned in a previous live stream. I don't know where my birth certificate and passport are, so as of right now, I can't cross the border to any other nation.
No.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I mean, they'll probably let you in. If you just show up and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" They'll probably let you in.
I mean, I know the Canadians are friendly, but I think that's missing the whole point of customs check.
Can I tell you? Do you know what a Nexus card is?
Nexus card? No, I'm not familiar.
It's like a specific kind of type of passport that allows me to basically skip all the lines when I travel into the States, because it's like a trusted traveler's card.
Oh yeah. There are various pre-check services that you can subscribe to in the United States for similar things.
Right. Yeah, but I had to get this card, I had to do 2 interviews, one with a Canadian security patrol border person and one with a American patrol border person, and they asked the exact same questions, but it was like good cop bad cop. And the Canadians were like, have you ever like done drugs, like marijuana? and then all of a sudden I go to the American side, and the American one was like, have you done drugs ever in your life? You will die if you do drugs. And I'm like, okay, wow, this is a very different situation. It was really interesting, but yeah.
That pretty much does sum up our respective countries' attitudes about drug use. So that's sad but true.
Yeah.
Got a question in the chat from Kat Young that Scozio already answered, kind of. But Kat asked, "Where and what is my intro music from?" I've been I have a history as a swing dancer, so I like jazz music, and I wanted to use jazz music for my intro and outro music, but I wanted to not rip anybody off, basically.
It's a good idea.
But I also didn't want to just use like the built-in audio library that YouTube has that everybody uses for everything. So like every other vlog uses the same music. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But I figured I have a few more resources, so I'll try that. I started emailing various swing bands that I know members of, and I asked them can I use some of your music in my YouTube video. But the very first ones that I asked were the Bitter Dose Combo, a Washington D.C. based small jazz combo. My friend Matt Henry is the nominal leader of the pack, as it were. And I asked him if I could use his music because he's already uploaded it to YouTube, and I would just link to his YouTube videos. He said that was fine. And so my intro music is Bitter Dose Combo's version of Rhythm Gitane. And then the outro music is just Matt Henry and a friend of his, Craig Baumgartner, doing some guitar work on, I can't remember the name of it. But I think something like Hungaria, I think is the name of the tune.
Nice.
So aside from their own videos, as far as I can tell, I'm the only person on YouTube who uses that music. It's just me.
Isn't that lovely? I love when bands or singers let you use their stuff in your. It just seems more personal than using. I remember when the big thing was everyone used like the music that came with iMovie or GarageBand or whatever. And yeah, it just seems so much more personal and cool when you have like actual music from bands or something. It's like, oh, I know them, they're friends.
Yes, it's very cool. And I mean, I've had Mississippi Jones, I think is her stage name. My friend Mississippi Jones out of Washington State say that we could use some of her music, I believe. And then of course my friends who are in the pop punk band Static Cadets have said that I could use their music in my videos as well. Neither of them have really the style of music that I think is suits my personality.
Right.
But if I ever do like a frenetic, very excited, chaotic video, I'll use Static Cadets music. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I know that when I did that series where we drove across Canada.
Yeah, you use a lot of different music in your videos.
Yeah. Well, I contacted a banjo player on SoundCloud. I just went to like SoundCloud and searched up banjo music because one, I'm obsessed with the banjo. I got a banjo for my birthday, and I still don't know how to play really, but I'm obsessed with it.
There's my ukulele in the background that I know how to play 3 chords on it, and I have to look at it all the time, and then I like lose my place strumming. So I'm not any better.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so I found this guy that it's like this nice older gentleman who just has this channel or whatever you want to call it on SoundCloud, and he does banjo music, and he's so good. But he's not popular or anything. He doesn't have many followers on SoundCloud. I don't know like if that is a thing. But so yeah, I just
Is he Steve Martin? Is it Steve Martin who you found?
No, I think Steve Martin has quite a few followers, but I didn't know until recently that he played the banjo.
Yeah.
What a weird
he's really good at it too.
Yeah. What a weird, interesting skill that this man has. Multi-talented.
The funny thing is, I mean, I'm not old enough. I'm not old enough to have actually seen him on TV in the early 70s when he first started doing stuff with like Saturday Night Live. But apparently that was like his shtick, is that he would like do stuff in a white suit and a banjo would be like part of his routine.
Oh.
And then he just stopped doing that when he got, more famous and did other things instead.
I can very easily give away my age because when somebody says Steve Martin, the first thing I think of is Cheaper by the Dozen. And that probably, that probably like everyone's like, oh, I remember when he was on whatever and he was playing in this band, and I'm just like, Cheaper by the Dozen was a great movie, and I am a child.
Was Cheaper by the Dozen the one where they're like literally 12 kids?
Yes.
I think the guy who went on to play Clark Kent in Smallville was in that movie.
Yes, he was the older teenage boy who was like, we can't move, I'm in love with this girl, and like was like, I'm running away or whatever, and like went back to visit his girlfriend.
Yes.
Spoiler alert for Cheaper by the Dozen. Like
something Welling, Tom Welling maybe. Wow, that does place your age there. In the chats, I'm saying that Kat Young would like to learn how to play banjo.
Hmm.
but can't justify buying another instrument. Kat's got all the drum stuff, all of the
Oh,
audio engineering equipment too. So
oh, that's cool. Like the drums is something that I could never play because I am just not that coordinated. And but people who play the drums just make me so happy because it's such a cool, like the drummer is always the coolest person in the band. Is that not true?
yeah, I think that's true. Like cool in terms of having that kind of personality. Cool, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like
I think if things freak them out, they wouldn't be able to play drums very well.
yeah, exactly, right. Oh yeah. That's cool. Hey, I props to you. I basically want to be a folk outfit, she says.
I saw that. It's great.
Yeah. The mandolin. I know every time I go, there's like a music store, a folk music store close to where I live. And every time I go in there and I just want to touch all the instruments and play them, but we're not allowed to. So it makes me sad.
I was really sad because there used to be this really old music store. I think it was like 50 or 60 years old music store in the
Mhm.
Silver Spring area where I live called Dale Music. And they stopped getting business.
Oh
And
no.
they had to close down, I want to say at the end of last year. They shut their doors. And it sucks because it's not where I got my ukulele. I got my ukulele online, but I got my ukulele restrung and tuned.
Mm.
And I also got my tambourine from there. And I would do the same thing that you did. I would like walk in and I just look at all the musical instruments and touch them and
Oh.
stuff. Sad. It's sad that it had to close. Boo.
Do you play? I don't think I know this, other than the ukulele and apparently the tambourine, which I didn't know until just now. Do you play any instruments?
I don't play any instruments. I
No.
have played with instruments, but
Right.
not in any sort of ability to make music consistently fashion.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
I mean, I don't know if Canadian schools have their students do this, but in U.S. schools, I had to learn how to play the recorder, and
Hmm.
I got I think a couple of semesters of guitar
Right.
because there were actual music classes that you had to take at school.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to Canadian school for most of my life because I didn't grow up in Canada. But
Wait,
gasp, I know the secret is revealed. Did you not know this?
where did you grow up?
Do you not know this?
I don't
Actually,
think I know this.
I moved from Canada when I was 3, and I lived in Texas, Poland, the Netherlands, and then I moved back to Canada and lived in Kelowna, and now I'm here.
Okay, now that you say that, I think I do remember hearing that before,
Yeah.
but I had forgotten.
You know what? I can't blame you. I've had friends who I've known for literally probably 8 to 10 years who I'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember when I was living in Texas. And they're like, you lived in Texas? I'm like, dude, I've known you for 8 years. How do you not know this by now? But it's okay. Yeah. But I didn't grow up in Canadian school, so I didn't do the whole young, like playing the recorder thing. However, I was a clarinet player in band class, which is really shows my personality, which is dorky and it's just silly overall.
Well, I mean, I think that your level of commitment to that is reflected in whether or not you made your own reeds or just bought them. Because I had a friend who was like a
What?
serious reed musician, reed musical instrument nerd, and so she played clarinet, a couple of different saxophones, and oboe. And it got to the point where she was actually tired of having to spend money on reeds all the time, so she just learned how to make her own.
What?
Yeah.
What did she just like cut off a piece of tree? Like how do you what's the process of making your own reed?
Apparently, you can order the type of wood from somewhere, and then
Oh,
you just have the wood, and you do have to have a couple of special cutting instruments, I think, and then she just cuts them herself.
that seems like a lot of work for the clarinet. Like the clarinet is not worth that much work.
It probably wouldn't be worth it for one instrument, but again, like I said, she had like a
That's
dozen.
true. That's true, I
So,
guess. Yeah.
Spoo has joined us in the chats.
Hi, Spoo.
Hi.
Bands are pretty cool unless they have a label. That's true. You know what I watched for the first time the other day was MTV. I have never actually watched MTV like TV shows. And I was like, wow, the music in all these shows is so good. How do they get such good music? I'm like, oh, it's because they have deals with all these huge record labels. Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
The shows were
for
not
the
good.
longest time, Teen Wolf. Teen
Right.
Wolf was my insider knowledge about cool new music because I
Really?
hear songs on the soundtrack and I think, oh, I've never heard that one before. I'm gonna go find it on the internet, and And the nice thing about it is that MTV actually has like a section where they tell you what music is being played on what of their TV shows.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
There's a whole website I found that's dedicated to every TV show you could think of. Whenever an episode comes out, the people that watch it basically list the songs that are in it, and I found that website. I don't remember what it's called though, but it's a lifesaver because I'm constantly watching TV and hearing a song and being like, oh, I want to know that, but it's like too short to like Shazam or whatever, like that app that you play.
I was just about to say that I always pull out Shazam and I play that when I'm hearing a song in a TV show that I like. We're also joined by Sarah, probably Sarah from California. Hi, Sarah.
How's it going?
Ask us more questions, people, or we're just going to be chatting amongst ourselves as if we are friends who are talking, because we are.
Yes, it's true. And with such interesting topics such as reed making 101, and you know, this is going to be a rip-roaring time.
I mean, I'm not going to say that lots of people make their own reeds, but I swear that my friend Julie from high school, who went on to become an orchestral musician.
Okay.
I think she plays for like the New York Philharmonic now. So she like, this wasn't just a game to her. She was in it.
See, that's the thing is like people like in band, my band teacher in grade 8 or whatever was very, very like passionate about band. But in my mind, I'm like, there's nothing that you're going to do with the clarinet later in life unless you become a clarinet player. So I'm like, well, there's no, you know what I mean? Like, nobody is just like, oh, hey, like jam sesh, let's whip out the clarinet. Like, that's not a good instrument for just like playing on the street, like busking. Like, no.
Well, you say that, but again, I've been swing dancing for a large part of my life, and I would go to swing dance events, and people would actually bring their instruments to the swing dance event, including things like guitar, ukulele, flute, trumpet, trombone, saxophone.
That's a good point.
Bass guitar, stand-up bass. Actually, stand-up bass is more likely than a bass guitar.
I love stand-up bass.
It's really cool.
I just love stringed instruments. That's my thing. I love stringed instruments. I wish I could play more. My dad was a professional like guitarist when he was younger, and I'm just kicking him. I'm like, why didn't you teach me? Why did you put me in piano instead of playing guitar? Because I love to listen to piano. I hated playing piano. I hated it, and I played piano for like 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you good at it?
Not anymore, because I literally was in piano lessons from when I was like 3 or 4 till I was 14 or 15.
Oh,
and
wow.
then when I turned 15, my mother was like, okay, do you want to continue piano lessons? And I was like, no. I hate this. I hate it so much. And so I didn't, and I don't regret it because I still don't like it. Like, I don't like to play, but yeah, I was like, why did you put me in piano and not like guitar when my father is a guitarist? I don't understand. Whatever.
Maybe that is a subtle commentary on what your mother thinks of your father's guitar playing. We're also joined in the chat by Josie Calloway. Hi, Josie. And to take us in another direction, Sarah has asked, what is your favorite kind of soup?
Thank you, Sarah, for the question. It's a thinker. I'm gonna say my favorite kind of soup is tomato rice. What about you, Paul?
Tomato rice. My latest favorite soup right now is there's a Thai soup. I think it's called like Thai Kam Ka or something like that. It's basically like a spicy coconut milk based soup with some basil accent in it. It's really good. I really like that. And I found Pacific Foods. No, Amy's Soups has a vegan version of it, so I can eat it, and it's delicious.
Yum.
Yeah, it's very good. We've got some descriptions of buskers in the chats, including
perfect.
A couple of Darth Vader buskers.
Amazing.
And a gorilla busker. That is amazing.
Oh wow, a gorilla costume playing the drums. I would pay money to see that. I feel like playing the drums.
Sounds like a scene out of the Jungle Book.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly.
Scozio asks, how did the two of us meet? Have we actually met in person? We have not yet met in person.
One day.
I believe that we met during NaNoWriMo, not last year, but the year before. Is that right?
It's true. That means we've known each other for over a year, Paul. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel good. Makes me feel
Yeah.
good that I've known a Canadian for that long. This is
Right.
positive international relations here over
Right.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But no, see, I remember you were very distinct because I was looking for other people who were vlogging during NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month,
Hmm.
and I saw there were several results that came up, but you were like on a boat in the middle of the water trying to do your NaNoWriMo on a laptop, like when I was imagining storms happening around you or whatever, but you were a very unusual vlogger to do for
Well,
NaNoWriMo.
for the people in the chat who don't know, my parents live part-time down in Palm Springs, and they're not, and I should say this, they're not old. Like, my parents aren't old people, but they chose to live in a retirement community where the average population is 80 years old. So when I go down there to visit them, there is literally nothing to do. When I mean, like, I can walk around the complex that they live in, and I will not see one person under the age of 50. Like, there's nothing to do. And it was
Wow.
during, yeah, no, it's a time. It's fun for like a week because I get to relax and do nothing. And then after a week, I feel like I'm in Pleasantville, that movie where it's just like,
Yes.
like, hello, good morning, and I hate it. But I was there during NaNoWriMo, and I wanted to get writing done. And so there's a lake in the complex that we live in, and there's a boat that you could rent for no money. But if you just give them your driver's license, they'll just give you the boat. You don't need a license, like, you don't need a boat license.
What?
Yeah,
That is really trusting.
yeah, yeah, I know, right? But I mean, who's gonna, like, everyone there is 80. Like, who's gonna take it out? Like, what are they gonna do with it? So I just rented the boat and I sat on the boat for like 8 hours. That's, yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Did you do NaNoWriMo last year?
You know, Paul, I tried. It's a touchy subject. No, I'm just joking. It's not a touchy subject, but I tried to do NaNoWriMo last year, but it's right around exam time for me, and exam time destroyed me last year, and it's destroying me this year too. So I didn't get to. I started, but I didn't get to finish.
Oof, oof. I mean, I understand. The only reason I tried to do NaNoWriMo was because it gave me a theme for vlogging every day when I was trying to raise money at the end of the year for my. I think that was that my 1,000 subscriber mark? I think it was my 1,000
I think
subscriber
it
mark.
was.
Yeah.
Your channel blew up fast and furious. I remember when you were doing a 500 subscriber, and then it was like, I felt like 2 weeks later it was like 1,000, and then, yeah, it's crazy. I'm so proud. I'm so very proud.
Well, that was 500 subscribers before VidCon, and then I think VidCon helped me to get tons of subscribers because I uploaded the VidCon panels. I think that's basically what it
Right.
was. And having people look for the VidCon panels helped them find my channel, and that helped me get noticed, which is great. I mean, that's fine. From the 1,000 mark to where I'm now, which is on the brink of 1,800 people, has taken all that time since November, basically. So it's a slower progression now, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm not even the numbers.
No, of course not. It really is, though. People I always read, people say, like, the best way to get subscribers is have subscribers. Like, once you start gaining more subscribers, and it's so true. I just recently, I've been posting a couple different UBC videos, just about the university that I go to, and people subscribe, and it feels like the more people that subscribe, the more people that subscribe. Like, it's like a big ball of snow rolling down a hill. And
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I make that metaphor because I'm Canadian, and that's all I know.
Well, it's not like you're Alaskan or an Eskimo where they've got 50 words for snow.
It's true. We have lots of describing words for snow. Like, I can't think of any now, but like, if you
Lies.
that's
Lies.
Awkward. That's awkward. My bad. But yeah, no. People like all my friends who work or at ski hills, or who ski. I don't ski, or I snowboard, but I snowboard poorly. They all have like a bunch of words to describe the snow conditions, and I have no idea what what they're talking about, so I just nod along.
I think the only one I know is powder. That's
Powder. There's flurries. There's champagne powder. I don't know what any of it means, but I just
weird.
Sounds good.
Does sound good. People in the chat that were talking about their types of soup got me hungry. Cut that out. Don't do that. Favorite types of soup. Matt asks, Matt asks, what are you doing or have done outside now that the weather is warmer? Is it warmer over there in Vancouver?
Oh my gosh, you guys, it is beautiful right now. I'm wearing shorts for the first time. It's not raining for the first time in what feels like maybe 6 months. I love it. It's been great. And you said that in DC it's really warm too, right?
Yeah, I feel like it was just a week ago that I was still in my winter coat and
Yeah,
thinking that I didn't want to give up my winter coat because I'd been burned or I'd been tricked before by the weather seeming to get warmer but not actually getting warmer.
right.
But I put it away. I moved to my spring coat. I moved to my spring coat for 1 week, and now I don't want to wear it anymore because it's already too hot for that.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's very nice and warm outside. It's very sunny. And as for what I want to do, I want to vlog outside. I want to, once this is over, I think I'm going to try to take my my iPod and go outside and figure out something to vlog about outside. I'm not sure what yet. I've got to think about that. But I want to take advantage of the fact that I'm not working today and I can go out in the sun. That's what I'm
Oh,
going to be doing.
I'm so jealous. The reason why I'm studying here today and not in my usual spot is because my usual spot doesn't really have a lot of windows, and so I don't get to experience the sunlight. And I feel like at least here I can't go outside because I have to study all day, but I can see the sun through like a glass pane, and I can just imagine how it feels on my skin.
Oh, that sounds a combination of beautiful and sad.
It is, yeah, that's my life.
We are also joined in the
This is my
chat
life.
by we're also joined in the chat by a weirdo from Pluto who says that if you're from Vancouver, you also have a bunch of words for rain. They know because they're from Vancouver.
Holla, how's it going, weirdo from Pluto? You are right. We have lots of words for rain. Mostly they're swear words.
And then Josie Calloway says that it's beautiful in British Columbia as well. She's in Victoria.
Ah, Victoria's great. I just went there recently and I loved it. I would like to spend more time there.
How far is it from Vancouver to Victoria?
It's a ferry, so you got to
The
take the
ferry?
ferry. Yeah, because
That's
it's
not,
Victoria's a little island, so it's like
that's cool.
probably it's like an hour by bus out to the ferry from where I am here, and then it's like another hour on the ferry.
Nice. That's not bad at all. Wow.
No, it's really great.
It's very cool. Kat asks, how long are we streaming for? I am probably aiming to wrap this up at well, we started a half an hour ago, so like in an hour and a half.
Solid.
Is that too much? Too short?
It's gonna be a good time.
Good. Excellent. So like an hour and a half, which is 5 p.m. my time, Eastern time, 2 o'clock ish, Bridget's time, and let's see here. So 5 o'clock is going to be 10 p.m. GMT.
Wow, I'm impressed that you can do that in your mind. I'm so bad at
I
I'm so
still have to
bad.
think about it, but I mean, fortunately, I only have to think about 2 different time zones. I only have
Right.
to think about West Coast and Greenwich Mean Time, because everybody in Europe seems to know where they are in relation to Greenwich Mean Time.
Oh, really?
Everybody, yeah, I don't know why, but they all know that they're GMT plus or minus whatever.
Mm,
And then in the United States, if you know West Coast time or East Coast time, you're pretty much set in
right.
the Americas. I did actually sit down. I had to calculate what the time difference was between us and Australia, Sydney, Australia, to see if I could get my friend Katie, that Katie project on YouTube, to join in for a project at one point, and it's something like 15 hours. Let's like
Yeah.
15 hours. Holy crap!
Yeah. No. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't. Time zones are weird. Just thinking about the fact that as it's sunny and beautiful and I'm up, it's winter somewhere else and or it's fall somewhere else and people are sleeping and I don't understand how the world works.
I if the there's lots of like futuristic concepts that are posed in science fiction movies and shows, and a lot of them just are silly. They're just like novelty concepts to shown. But one that I thought would be a good idea is if at some point in the future we have the technology to do this, would be to dome off either the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, and then just
Mhm.
make the weather match.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
Like the
That's
weather
great.
and the sun cycles match. So that way you wouldn't have to worry about all the other things. You could just have, like Christmas would have seemed like Christmas all year, everywhere in the world, basically.
Right. Right. Yeah, I guess people have Christmas in like a summertime.
Yep.
That's
And it always weirds me out. I always get confused. As soon as I start watching a video or a vlog from somebody in Australia or New Zealand and they're
mhm.
talking about Christmas, they're like in shorts and t-shirts and talking about how hot it is. And then they
Yeah.
say, Merry Christmas. And I'm just like, what the F is happening?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is going
It's
on?
-40 here, and I am in my basement in 8 coats. Like, how are you wearing shorts right now? Yeah.
Yeah, it is very weird. Oh, Spoo tells us what time it is in Sydney right now. It's apparently 5:30 in the morning in Sydney.
Are you
Uh,
in Sydney, Spoo, or are you just looking that up?
I thought Spoo was in Germany, so maybe he's just
Oh,
looking it up. We'll find
oh,
out.
all right.
Kat is going to go do some work, but we'll be back later on.
Have fun, Kat. Good luck with your work.
It's so it's such a knee-jerk reaction to want to get rid of time zones to make everybody on the same time because we're very selfish, we human beings. We want everything to be the way
Yeah.
we like them, regardless of the rest of the world. But the fact that there are time zones is a fairly physical reminder of just how different the world is from one place to the next. It really, I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for 3:30 p.m. right now, in the middle of the day, bright and sunny in the East Coast, to be 3:30 p.m. In Australia, where they're probably asleep.
Right.
Yeah, they're probably still
Yeah.
asleep.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Mind you, Sarah says that she lives in California and can wear shorts during Christmas. So
That's
shorts.
true. That's true. I was in California for Christmas this year. And I wasn't wearing shorts, I don't think, but I was wearing like a t-shirt and pants. So that was lovely compared to where I'm from, which is Canada's butt, which I like the worst place in Canada ever, Winnipeg, Manitoba, where it gets to like -40 degrees.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, -60 with wind chill sometimes.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel bad enough when it's just like -10, which is something that we can occasionally reach in our coldest winters.
Right.
Woof. But of course, I have visited a friend of mine in
Okay.
Hawaii in February, and
Hmm.
it was nice. It was like 70-degree weather the entire time we were there.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I like Hawaii. I want to go back to Hawaii at some point. Hawaii is a nice place to visit because it feels like it's a completely different. It feels like it's a different country. It feels
Right.
like it is, some secluded island somewhere, which I guess it is actually. But it's still a
Yeah.
part of the United States, so I
Yeah.
don't need to use a passport to go there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Hawaii's cool. I've never been there. I wish that I could go at some point. Especially now, I'm learning a lot about the Hawaiian language. And so now I want to go and experience it.
Why are you learning about the Hawaiian language?
Linguistics major.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the Hawaiian language, I'm about to nerd out for a second. The Hawaiian language it has one of the smallest like alphabets, quote unquote, in the world. They only have, I think, 8 sounds that they make.
Wow.
So like they don't have a T in their alphabet.
Yeah, they've got like an M sound, a K sound, an L sound.
Hmm.
That
It's
may be all the consonants.
it's
H.
H H L K M W P and glottal stop.
I didn't know about the W, and I forgot about the glottal stop. I should have known about P, of course, Pele. Cool.
Yeah.
I know some stuff about Hawaiian because I visited there. I know some stuff about Hawaiian because of Lilo and Stitch, and I know some stuff about Hawaiian because I took some linguistics classes in college.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just think it's so interesting that like when the Hawaiian language borrows words from English and the English words have letters they don't use, they just replace them with K usually and then add vowels. So like ticket is kikiki because that's just
That's
the only
adorable.
I know. Great language, honestly.
Weirdo from Pluto called Winnipeg Winterpeg.
No, that's what we call it. Yeah, Winterpeg is terrible. My cousin had decided to have her wedding on I'm not joking, the 23rd of December in Winnipeg, and it was -45.
Does she not celebrate Christmas?
She does. I think her goal was she wanted all of the relatives in town for Christmas. But like
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I mean, it was a lovely wedding. I'm not going to say anything bad about the wedding because it was great. The weather and timing was poor for being in Winnipeg specifically.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Got a little chime in of support for Lilo and Stitch from Sarah.
Great movie. A plus.
Good.
There aren't 24 time zones as one would expect, says Spoo, but 40 zones spread across 25 hours. Yeah, whoever invented it maybe wasn't thinking properly.
I'm sure there are clever reasons for it, but it is
It's
it messes with
confusing.
my mind to think about.
Yeah, it's a little confusing for sure.
Matt asks, does the Hawaiian language use varied tones for words to have different meanings?
Ooh, I should know this because I just did an exam on it. Hawaii does. Oh, apparently I've exiled all the information from my brain. I'm pretty sure that Hawaii doesn't have varied tones. No. No, I'm gonna say no on that. It doesn't have varied tones.
Interesting. The what I do remember, I actually remember this from college, is that at one point we were talking about post-labial sounds and
Hmm.
tonalities in certain African languages,
Yes,
and there are some African language. I mean, I say African, like I realize it's a continent made up of tons of countries and tons of tribes,
fair
but
enough.
somewhere in there, I can't remember which country or which tribe, there is a language that's very sing-song, and
Hmm.
in that language, a high-pitched version of a sound has a
Hmm.
different meaning from a lower-pitched version of that same sound.
Yep.
And I found that really interesting because then I asked my professor, so if that's the case, in English, when you have songs,
Hmm.
oftentimes you'll sing things differently to make certain sound effects and certain beat patterns. Would African languages do that as well, or will their songs have the sung part of the
Um,
language identical to the spoken part of the language? Can they not do
okay.
that, or otherwise they'll mess up the meaning?
Right.
He didn't have the
Interesting.
answer. He didn't know.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that. I don't know either, but I do know that yeah, in tone is a distinctive factor in a lot of African languages, and in a lot of Asian-based languages too. It's very interesting.
Yes, yes. Not in Korean, fortunately. Uh, there are some consonant sounds
Right.
that sound almost identical to somebody who has an English speaking ear,
Hmm.
but there are some, like, the k and the g sounds are very similar in Korean, but tonality doesn't come into it. I could say it as high pitched or low pitched, with
Right.
as much or as little timbre as I want, and it'll still be the same word in Korean.
Right.
Just like it would be in English. I find it fascinating. So linguistics, huh?
Yep. That's me. I
I
am a
mean, I
linguist.
love that. Do you work with just the mechanical theory of linguistics, or do you do any of the um, mental slash psychological, the
Yeah.
cognitive aspect of linguistics too?
So there's kind of two types that you can go, two fields that you can go into, two directions, I guess. You can go into like sciences, like linguistic sciences, which talk about like speech disorders, for example, um, or you could go into what I want to go into, which is more like language history and theory. Um, and like for example, my goal is to be able to work with like restoration projects. So like there's a lot of First Nations languages in this area specifically that are going extinct very quickly. Yeah, no, which is due to the terrible assimilation and racism that exists in Canada. But we don't talk about that because we're really nice here. But yeah, but my goal is to be able to like work with teams that are invited to these groups of First Nations who want to help preserve or restore or revitalize their language. And we do that through like documentation and working with like schools to try and get, immersion schools up and running, or even like for schools to um, allow these First Nation languages as like a second language, like you would French, right? Stuff like that.
Cool. That's awesome. I mean, it's I wish we had more preservation of Indian Americans, Indigenous Americans here in the United States, because I'm pretty damn sure that we are experiencing languages going extinct. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I saw a documentary about that at the Silver Docs like 2 years ago, when the Festival of Documentaries, about how there was I want to say that there was like a documentary about somebody who was on a reservation who was not from that tribe, and they came from another tribe, but the tribe that they came from, their language is extinct now. So nobody knows how to speak with them besides, like, nobody knows how to speak with them who's still alive. It was bad. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, right now, the main thing that, like, I think a major problem that linguists have with documenting First Nations or Native American languages that I learned recently, which I thought was really interesting, was, first of all, a lot of groups don't want their language documented by linguists, professional linguists, because there's been a lot of like PhD students or like linguists that come into these groups and just get all this information and document their language and then just leave, and we're like, okay, I have enough information for my thesis now, or my master's thesis, and then they leave and then don't actually help the group with the revitalization process. They just get all the information that they need for their own personal gain. And so that's kind of left a lot of groups really wary about letting linguists in to help document and revitalize, which is really depressing and sad and like terrible that they would have a mistrust, which, I mean, their mistrust is totally valid, but it's terrible that they have to have this mistrust of people that are offering to help with that process.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly not the First Nation tribe's fault that they were taken advantage of, and it sucks that happened. But that's essentially a form of objectifying, of othering, taking advantage of the existence of that going extinct nation in order to benefit themselves, those linguists.
Yeah. Well, there was a linguist who does field work, like the preservation stuff, who came in and talked to us, and I really liked what he said. The two things that he said, he's this white guy, and he was like, first of all, you have to be invited to do this sort of work. You can't just walk into somebody's tribe and be like, hi, I am white man, let me help you. Like, and I was like, that's true. And then the other thing he said was, he's like, when you're there, you are a linguistic helper monkey. He's like, all you're doing is providing the information that you have, like, to help them make their own decisions. So like, you are not saying like, oh, this is how we're going to do it, this is how we're going to document it, like, this is the process. Like, they make the decisions on like, okay, this is the methods that we want to use, these are the ways that we want to document it. You just are helping them out by using the tools that you have, which I thought was really great, because we don't want this like white savior complex of like, because at the end of the day, like, the reason why those languages are going extinct is because of the Europeans who came over and tried to assimilate them. So it doesn't really make sense for them now, hundreds or whatever of years later, for us to come and be like, we're going to save you now. Like, that's just terrible and racist.
I mean, helping them to preserve themselves is a positive thing, but I mean, it sounds like the examples that you gave are not that.
No. Yeah.
Weirdo from Pluto asks if you have seen the McLean's article about Winnipeg and racism toward natives.
Oh yeah, Winnipeg. That's another reason why I consider Winnipeg the butt of Canada. Because Winnipeg is like the most racist city when it comes to First Nations people. It's really bad. It's really terrible.
Now, just out of my personal curiosity, are they also racist toward people who are not white?
You know, I can't really speak to that. I know the one thing about Winnipeg is that it's a really working class, like blue collar kind of city. I can't really tell you if they're racist to other people of color. I'm sure that there is a lot of racism that way, but I think that it's majorly focused towards First Nations people.
See, I asked that question because a theory that I've had is that it's a modern age. You can watch TV shows, you can get on the internet and find people who are diverse, people who are of various colors and backgrounds and ethnicities, It's
Right.
not something that is so foreign to you anymore that should rile up xenophobia in people. But if you have grown up with a culture around you where you're specifically oppressive of one marginalized people, then you think that that is okay, and that's just how the way things are. And that kind of you actually compartmentalize how that oppression and marginalization is different from just racism in general. So I was wondering.
Think that you're correct in that statement. I would suggest that you're correct there, which is sad.
Matt Palka's school taught Latin a few years ago. That is really cool. That is really cool.
That's cool.
It's a shame that they cut it. I mean, I realize it's a quote unquote dead language, but it's not, it's not really that dead considering that it is the root for so many languages that are currently being used.
Yeah. I think that Latin, I'm probably going to have to learn some Latin because it's such an important stepping stone to like so many major languages that exist today.
I mean, you might get away with skipping Greek, but you got to learn Latin.
Yeah. Well, like, for example, I just learned this. I had no idea. Did you know that at one point in time, Hebrew was dead? Like, the language was dead?
No, I didn't know that. It was restored? When it was restored?
I don't know the exact time period, but basically, Hebrew died as a language, and then politically, it was revived because they wanted a language that was like unified. So they're like, we're just going to restore Hebrew, and so everyone was forced to learn Hebrew, and then now it's a major language with billions of people speaking it.
Was it religious in nature or political in nature? Do you know that much?
I believe it was political, but it was religiously influenced, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, when you get into Hebrew and the Judaic tradition, it's hard to separate religious motivations and political motivations. They tend to intertwine a lot.
Right.
That's really interesting. I did not know that. That's really cool. I kind of want to research that a bit myself now to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Josie asks if there's any First Nations languages that you're specializing in, because her mom has a master's in linguistics and tried to preserve Nakota.
Interesting. That's really cool, Josie. Right now, I've been studying mostly like Halkomelem, which is the language that is mostly around these, like Vancouver area. That's the one we're focusing on. It's in the Salish family, if that helps you at all. It's like the BC. It's one of the major BC First Nations languages. Yeah,
cool.
That's cool.
Manitoba has a massive First Nations population. I like that this stream of mine is very Canadian.
I know. I didn't mean to hijack it into Canadian topics, I promise.
No, but it's good though, because if I keep on just talking about the stuff that's going on in my life, then all my live streams will essentially be the same sort of things over and over again. Like I give my same opinions about politics and education in almost every live stream, which is fine, but it's nice if we can mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But Weirdo from Pluto says that Manitoba has a massive First Nations population. Kristen points out that there's lots of racism towards Filipino people as well. Yeah. Let's see here.
My mom got stopped at the Canadian border. Working in Winnipeg. She went home. She was doing because no one sightsees in Winnipeg. That's hilarious and so true. There's nothing to see. I shouldn't say that. That you can go to Winnipeg and see the statue of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Because Winnie the Pooh's from Winnipeg. That's all we got.
A.A. Milne is from Winnipeg?
No. No. The bear, the actual real life bear, is from Winnipeg.
Oh.
Because Winnie the Pooh's a real story, not like with Christopher Robin, but like it was a real bear.
Huh.
Yeah. So you can go see the statue of the real bear that was illegally animal traded.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The story of Winnie the Pooh is basically just as terrible as Winnipeg itself. British, like there was a bear that was being sold at like a live animal auction, and this British soldier bought it. And then like took it with him back to Britain, and then it was put in a zoo, and then A.A. Milne and his child Christopher Robin saw it, and he started writing stories about it.
That is wild. That's wild.
Yeah. Good old Winnie the Pooh.
Did not know that. Owen Hughes says that, hi Owen Hughes, I don't know who you are. Up until a few days ago, they didn't realize that the ampersand was a ligature of E and T. Oh, I didn't know that now. I just learned it.
I just learned it too. Thank you, Owen Hughes. My mind has been blown.
Huh. That is neat. That's neat. Let's see here. I learned that on the TV heritage moments we had on TV in Canada.
Yeah, we have lots of like these little commercials. I know what you're talking about. Who said that? Weirdo
Weirdo
from
from
Pluto.
Pluto.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We have these like like these 3-minute commercials on TV that talk about like, ah yes, and then the British came and they found the new land, and I'm like, well, you're kind of leaving out like the genocide part of it, but like, okay, yeah, like there's like kind of some chunks that are missing in this like supposed Canadian heritage commercial, but like I see what you're trying to do.
Well, I mean, is it important to tell people of a nationality all the truth about their history, or to just get them, I don't know,
Pumped.
proud of their history?
Well, see, if you want to know the truth, those commercials don't get me proud of my history because I just know that we're not talking about the full history. What gets me proud, literally, right now, because the Stanley Cup is happening, which there are so many commercials for Canadian beers that are so patriotic, and it gets me so like so stoked. It's like Canada, and it shows like mountains and lakes and fields and like families skating, and I'm just like, this is Canada. Yes, Molson Canadian. It's advertising done right.
That's amazing. I mean, that tells me that the Stanley Cup time periods commercials are analogous to the U.S. NFL commercials, because that's
Yes.
certainly how the patriotic beer commercials are for the Super Bowl.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I watch the Super Bowl commercials, and I don't care that it's about the States. I still cry. like there was like a beer. I don't remember what beer it was, but there was a beer commercial with like a bunch of like horses and like a dog with the horses, and it was something like a farmer. I don't know. I cried. That's all I remember. It felt very patriotic, and I'm not even from the States, so
Well, that just means that the advertising agencies are doing their job well. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
yeah, really, right?
Bring up those emotions in you.
Yeah. What did Weirder from Pluto says? Canucks or Jets? Oh, Jets. Oh, oh, I hate literally the only team that I hate more than the Canucks is the Flames, and I'm sorry for anyone that's from Calgary, and I should move on before I get kicked out of Canada. Kicked out of Vancouver.
Let's see here. Agent FTW1 asks, "What about the universal language? Have you read Paulo Coelho?"
I haven't. I've heard of the universal language, but I haven't done any research on it.
I'm not even familiar.
There's an idea that there can be I think if what Agent is talking about here is what I'm thinking of. There's like this kind of theory that there's certain language sounds that are kind of merging, and like eventually we will have a universal language. But like,
I wonder. I don't know. It's hard for me to see that at any time in our immediate future, just because there is a conflict in even within the society of the same nation of the United States. There is conflict between sub societies of the United States. So there's always going to be Spanish language speaking people in the United States who are not. I mean, they're sometimes they're forced to use English language words for stuff, but it's not as if they're stopping using Spanish.
Right.
And then there's the African American vernacular English that continually develops new coinages, new phrases, new words. That does not seem to be going away. I don't know. If it does happen that we merge toward a universal language, it's not going to be happening until borders start going away.
I see more than anything. I see not a universal language, but technology that stops this language barriers. So like I see very near in the future with like captioning and stuff that during meetings, there won't need to be a translator. There will be a person that they all wear these like Google glasses, and when a person speaks, then just subtitles appear underneath, and that's it. Which makes me kind of sad because I will be out of a job. As a linguist, I will no longer have a job. But so I'm really hoping to graduate and like have at least a year's worth of work before Google steals my employment.
Google, like I would not have predicted that real-time translation would happen so well, but Google's translate technology is doing a really good job. Like they even get like contextual translations rather than literal word for word translations happening now. And then there's an app that you can use on your Android phone where you just hold it up and you use the translate app and you actually show it an image of some text in a language,
Yeah.
and it can translate it for you on the fly into another language like English.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I know. I have that app, and I'm ashamed to say that I have used it on language-based homework before. Anyways,
Cheater. Is this you cheating right now? Are you admitting you're cheating?
no, I'm not. I'm just using the multitude of technology that exists to help us in this modern world that we live in. What's the next question that is live in this chat?
Weirdo from Pluto mentioned Esperanto. If you're not aware, Esperanto is this manufactured language. It does not derive from a historical basis. It's not a societal or cultural language. Esperanto is like some people got together and actually tried to figure out a way of making it a logical, consistent rules language. There was a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of lots of other things.
Right.
And I learned about it first from books that I read, some science fiction books I read. The Stainless Steel Rat series by Harry Harrison is set in the future, and in that future, Esperanto is the universal language that everybody uses. But then I looked it up. Because I wanted to see if they just made that up, if that was actually a thing. I looked it up, and apparently it's got its biggest popularity in like the 70s, I think, and then it almost immediately died.
Oh, well, okay.
And I think it's because you need to have a cultural background sustaining a language for the language to stay alive, which harkens back to what you're dealing with regards to First Nations people. If their culture is stomped out, the language will go too.
Yeah, no. It's very true. Like any cultural assimilation generally brings language assimilation. That's just kind of like the formula for mass cultural genocide. Like it's like you make them not speak their language. They're probably, because it's like it's a train of events of like if the child doesn't speak the language of the culture, that means that they feel a disconnect from the culture, which means that they're going to feel a disconnect from other cultural aspects, and then you just get closer and closer to being born old white European. Sorry.
I see no lie in your statements, so that's fine.
I'm Irish. Like I got nothing. Like you know what I mean? Like I can say that because it's true. Like
I have the blood of North Koreans in my background somewhere.
There you go.
And then some other white people. I don't know what the white people are, but there's definitely some North Koreans in my bloodline. Scozio says that Esperanto is still active on Wikipedia. Really?
Oh, really? That's awesome.
But Wikipedia didn't exist when I was reading about Harry Harrison's Stainless Steel Rat back in the late 80s, early 90s. So maybe that also went away for a while and then came back.
I don't know.
Spoo, there's a question about Google Glass a minute ago when we were talking about Google Glass, about whether it's dead now. And Google has officially taken it off of any sales sites, so you can't buy it right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and Spoo said
so revolutionary.
It was weird. Glass is either dead or at least hibernating, according to Spoo.
Yeah, what happened?
The weird thing is, though, that Google site still has like little like glasses frames that you could get and then attach Google Glass to. So they still have the accessories for Google Glass. They're just not selling Google Glass anymore.
You can't buy our product, but you can pretend that you own it.
Pretty much.
Like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Is there somebody who's asking you questions off to your side? I saw you looking to the side of there for a second.
Yeah, I ordered sushi. So my friend who I'm here with studying is like, do you have to go and get it? I'm like, I paid online. You can just grab it. She's like, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I took it online, dude. Yeah.
Sarah does point out that the Google Translate still sucks a lot. It does suck a lot.
True.
For what it can do. Like I can run it over a Korean package of food that I've gotten from the local H Mart. I can run it over that package of food and it can translate the Korean for me in less than a second. It's not perfect, but I can't do that.
Yeah, no. I had a prof or a teacher in high school when I took grade, like whatever, 10, 12 French, who she said at the beginning of the year, she's like, I will know if you use Google Translate. I will know. It doesn't matter how many words you use it for. If you write one sentence with Google Translate, I will know. And sure enough, there would be people who would use Google Translate, and she would just hand them back their paper with Google written across the top. It was like she was so fluent in French that if there was one mistake that she could tell was from Google Translate, she just knew immediately.
That is excellent. That's a good
It was
teacher.
impressive. It was impressive. I know. Impressive.
Josie asks, are you fluent in any other languages?
Well, Josie, I thought I was. I thought I was fluent in French, but as I'm studying for it for my exam on Monday, apparently I'm not. I know a lot less than I thought I did.
Well, fluent. I'm fluent in English, but I'm not saying. But I don't know that I would necessarily pass an English test if I took it today.
That's fair. Yeah, I would say that I'm conversationally fluent in French, and I am, let's say, third grade fluent. No, probably less than that. Like first grade fluent in Spanish because I'm learning Spanish right now.
I am Sesame Street fluent in Spanish.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is to say that I can say like individual words and know what they mean.
Right.
and I am maybe first grade fluent in French,
Nice.
if that. Once upon a time, I could actually have a fairly decent conversation, like a baby conversation, but an understandable conversation in French back when I was taking it in college. But it's been so long. It's been so long.
French, here's the problem with French. I love French. If French was a human, French would be on every drug imaginable. Because it really doesn't have rules. It does, but like for every rule, it has like 20 exceptions. It's like, well, this happens every time except for this, then like it's really. And then learning Spanish, it's so nice. Everything makes sense. There's barely any exceptions. I'm like, wow, this language, it's so easy to learn. And the other problem is Spanish people in general love when you try. Sorry, I should say Spanish people. People who speak Spanish love when you try to speak Spanish with them. Like if you say 3 words, it doesn't matter if the words make no sense. It's not a cohesive sentence. They're like, yes, you're learning. Good job. You're amazing. French people, they are not.
Okay, the people who are just listening to this as a podcast, you missed the excellent face that Bridget just made. It was a good face.
Yeah, they do not like it when you speak French poorly there. Not at all.
I know that many of my fellow English-speaking Americans have described experiencing exactly what you just described, Bridget. But I can't help but point out that when English-speaking U.S. people hear foreigners come over to our country and try to speak English, we are assholes to them. We are the worst people. The people who are trying to speak possibly the most complicated language on the planet. I mean, Chinese, Mandarin, and Cantonese, they're very complicated.
Yeah.
They're complicated because they're huge. They're not complicated because there's lots of rules exceptions.
Yes.
U.S. English is like 90% exceptions.
Yes. It's the worst. And we're terrible. We're terrible with people. I'm like, why wouldn't we try to promote, or not promote, but like appreciate people who are trying to learn your language? Like if somebody's like, oh, I'm trying to learn English, like you think that we would be like, wow, that's great. That's amazing. Thank you. Because that makes my life easier because I don't have to try and learn yours. But like instead we're just dicks. we're the worst.
Yes, I think so. I can't help but think that we are probably similarly bad to French people.
No, it's true.
I mean, we're very nice if you can speak English well and you just have an accent. Yeah. Then we will glom onto you like we are lusting after you. But if you speak English poorly, we're going to be dicks to you, and it sucks.
Yeah. It's really rude. It's pretty mean. Yeah. The interesting thing, tell me, I'm sorry, I promise I'm not trying to swing the conversation back to Canada. I feel like I am. It's like, speaking of languages, Canada, tell me in the chat, please, for anyone, because there's a few Canadians in here, and I think we're all from the West Coast, like all from the, West area or even mid-prairie area. Were you taught that Quebecois people hate you? Because I was taught that. And like, in the West, we're taught that the East just hates us. Anyone who speaks French hates us. And when I went to the East to do French immersion, I found out they're taught in the East that we hate them. No one hates each other, guys. We just have been we just think that the other group hates you know what I mean? Like, we have these poor relations because it's like, well, if they hate us, then we're gonna hate them. Like, no, they didn't hate us in the first place. They just think that they hate us and we hate. I don't know.
Oh, I can't speak for other people, but certainly in my French classes that I took here on the East Coast, I did learn that of all the French-speaking people I would meet in the world, the Quebecois would be the meanest toward me.
Yes, it's true, and it's true. Just because, yeah, Quebec's pretty bitter about the fact that they got a very small portion of Canada, and the English-speaking population got like the rest. They're still not too happy about that.
Well, they seem to be very good at holding a grudge, at least.
Yeah. It makes me sad because I'm like, guys, we're Canada. We're all supposed to be loving and love each other. Isn't that our motto? Like, we're not supposed to like hate ourselves like in our own country.
Yes. Well, I mean, but isn't that itself a point of contention that every now and then Quebec wants to
Leave?
leave Canada? Be
No.
like its own country? Is that the thing?
Yes. When was it? It was like, oh God, it was a number of years ago. There was a vote whether they were going to leave and split off and become their own country. And the vote, I'm not joking, was 49% said yes, 51% said no. It was that close.
Wow.
But I don't understand what they're gonna do, because it's like Quebec doesn't have many exports. Like, just purely economically speaking, like Canada is run off of the prairies, basically. Like, and so I'm like, Quebec, if you leave, what you gonna do? Like, where are you getting your money from? I don't think they have a strategy other than like, vive le français. Like, I don't. But I mean,
do they want to be affiliated with France? Do they just want to be like a French colony?
No, they do not. It's like, see, this is where I'm like, okay, what's the goal? What's the game plan here? I don't know.
That's so funny. I think Sarah is trying to make fun of the way you speak by asking you if you say sorry the Canadian way. Are you trying to make fun of how Bridget speaks?
Oh, well, Sarah, I'm really sorry that you think that way, but yesterday I was out and about, and I saw a moose in the street, and I was like, oh, hey, buddy, you want to go see the hockey game? Like,
I'm not your buddy, pal.
I'm not your buddy, pal. Saskatchewan. Like, is that good?
That was amazing. That was. We have reached our recommended daily allowance of Canadian here. That was fantastic.
God.
That was,
Thanks.
oh wow. That it was amazing how easily he slipped into that and just like spouted all of the stereotypes.
Every stereotype. I think I missed maple syrup. I missed what else did I miss? Beavers. I think that's about it. I was really polite and I said all of my O's wrong. That's all I got.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ask a completely tangential, unrelated question, which is:
Do it.
Are you caught up to date with Orphan Black? Are you looking forward to new episodes starting tonight?
I've never watched Orphan Black.
Well, I'm just gonna end this chat right now.
Oh no! I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Oh no!
That's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah. Oh no.
I think you'd really like it. I think you'd enjoy the show a lot.
Yeah. What did you tweet earlier that I've never watched Orphan Black, but I still laughed. It was like, what's the actress's name? It was like, there's 10
Tatiana Maslany.
There's 10 good roles for women on TV, and Tatiana Maslany is playing 9 of them, or something like that. Yep. And I was like, that's pretty funny. I don't even watch the show, and I think that's hilarious.
You know the premise of the show?
I thought I did, but apparently it's sci-fi?
It's science fiction, not so much in like plot devices, but in its premise. So the idea is that a woman discovers that she is one of numerous clones. And then that's basically as much as I can tell you without giving away all the different plot spoilers in the series. But because of that, all the characters who are clones are played by the same person.
That's pretty brilliant. You know, that's actually really smart because they probably don't have to pay a lot of money for actors.
Well, it is true that they have a much larger cast practically than they have to pay for. That is definitely the case. But
Right?
they wouldn't be able to do it if they had a lesser actor.
Right.
Tatiana Maslany, the reason why it's such a good show is not because of the premise, is not because of the plot devices, but just because it's done so well by Tatiana Maslany. You really believe that she's literally multiple people in a room at the same time.
Wow.
I watch for video devices, video tricks, for cloning. Like I watch Wheezy Waiter on YouTube, and I know like cloning, the things you can do to trick viewers to make it seem like there's multiple people in a room, and usually I can figure out what Craig Benzine's doing. Sometimes he's really good at it. Like when he punches himself, it's really hard for me to see how he does the scenes where he punches himself.
Yeah.
But I can't. But I can see like once in a while some of the little effects that they use in Orphan Black when they've got multiple clones in the same room. But usually I can't. And like all the eye lines are right on target. It's just really, really well done. And the personalities of the clones are very distinct. Very distinct personalities differences. It's amazing. It's an amazing show.
Apparently,
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, apparently I need to watch the show. I didn't. Oh yeah, make a little bit more noise, won't you? Sorry, my friend's opening her sushi. Yeah, apparently I didn't. I don't know what genre I thought it was, but I did not think that it was like a science fiction plot kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, science fiction isn't as important. Like theoretically, it could just be like a bunch of whatever the long version of multiple siblings is.
Yeah,
like septillions or something like that.
That sounds like I don't like that word. That sounds like a reptile. I don't. I feel like it's like, oh, I'm a septillion. Like that's another species. I don't want to call somebody that.
I don't know what it actually would be anyway. But I'm not sure what word there would be to indicate like 10 siblings all from the same mom. But they could potentially have done it like that and just ignored the cloning aspect, just separated siblings.
Okay.
And if they did that, it still would be an amazing show.
Right.
It would just be a little bit actually less believable because it's hard to believe that one person would have all of those identical siblings. So by using the cloning plot device, you can say, well, this is why they all look the same. It's because they're clones.
Right.
But it's really just the acting, the fact that there's so much very convincing acting from one actress doing all these different parts simultaneously. That is the amazing aspect. The science fiction MacGuffin below it, not as important as the fact that Tatiana Maslany is awesome. Okay,
well there you go. I guess I need to watch this show. It's on my list of things to do when I have time.
When will that be?
How many seasons is it?
They are about to start the 3rd season tonight. So this will be the first episode of the 3rd season tonight.
Can I just pause this conversation for a second to make everyone a little bit jealous? Wait, can you? Oh. Yeah.
Is that vegetarian sushi?
I'm technically a pescatarian.
Yes.
Yeah, so I eat fish. But it's pescatarian sushi.
So just sushi is what you're saying. Pescatarian sushi is just sushi.
I mean, if it's any consolation to myself, my friend got chicken sushi. So like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like, yeah, Paul. Let's make the distinction here.
Sorry. I forgot that there are non-traditional sushis out there.
Yeah, it's so true. But yeah, okay. Orphan Black. Good to know. It's on my list, on my radar.
You are very busy though. I mean, as you've mentioned several times in our DMs, we've been trying to collab for over a year.
Yeah, like a year and a half now. It's kind of sad.
But part of that was part of that time I have definitely dropped off of the internet. I've definitely taken hiatuses from being very present on the internet. But a large portion of the time, you were traveling across Canada, and then you've been in school a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You've moved a couple times. You're very busy.
Yeah, I feel like I try and keep busy. I'm always, whenever I'm not in school, I'm always trying to be traveling. And that's because that's what I do for anyone that actually doesn't know me, unlike just like this random friend of Paul. I am a YouTuber. And yeah, I usually, yeah, I do a number of things, but my favorite thing to do is to travel and do like travel logs. Um, yeah, so I'm always trying to do that, which keeps me on the road, which means my internet usually isn't too good. Um, oh, holla. Thanks, girl. But yeah, I'm just getting past food from off camera. But yeah, so I'm traveling a
I wish
lot.
I could do that. Bring me some food, Drew.
Magic, yeah. Oh,
Nothing.
Drew,
She's just sleeping.
sleeping. But
Trying
yeah,
to.
but yeah, traveling. I want to come down to the States. If I came to down to DC, would we do a live collab then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. I should come down to DC.
You should. I am always here except for VidCon. Uh,
Oh, man, sad.
and if I figure out how to do it, I want to move to California. So you'll have a
Oh,
limited time.
really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about this.
There's not much to say really. A lot of my friends are on the West Coast. They're in Washington State. They're in Oregon. They're in California. Various cities up and down California.
Hmm.
And previously, I always had this idea that maybe if I retire, I'll go to California.
Right.
But a
You
lot
can
of
live
the
in that
stuff,
retirement community. No, I was kidding.
yeah,
I'm sorry. That was rude.
exactly.
I'm sorry.
But a lot of the stuff that has kept me in the DC area is no longer a big motivating factor for me anymore. I mean, I used to stick around this area because all of my friends who I know from Baltimore and DC swing dancing community, they all
Mm,
lived in this area, so I wanted to be near them. But most of them have moved. Most of them have left to go to Seattle or Portland or LA.
right.
A big portion of my social constraints that kept me here in the DC area, they're all gone now.
Okay.
And as I've become a YouTuber in these last couple of years, I've made more and more friends who are in the California area, and VidCon is in California, and Disney is in California. Lots of
All the
stuff.
important things in life. All the
Yeah,
important things. We
yes,
got
friends,
YouTube and we
VidCon,
got
Disney.
Disney. Disney. Like on the top of that list should probably be Disney. I'm not gonna lie. Like friends, you don't really need them. VidCon videos, it's great, but like at the end of the day, Disney, you can't beat it.
I don't know. I have a couple of friends who live in California who have who have Disney annual passes, and they just
Hmm.
go throughout the year. Except for blackout periods, they go
Right.
throughout the year and they really enjoy it. But I'm not sure if I. I mean, I had fun at Disney. I've only been to Disney once. I've been to
Right.
Disney my entire life. It's some total of one time, and that was for
Hmm.
Disney Day last year during VidCon,
Okay.
and it
Which
was
is
fun.
probably swamped. Was it so busy?
I was actually told by people who were there that it was not as busy as it's been other times of the year. I think
Oh,
maybe
okay.
because it was the middle of the summer. That makes no sense. That should be just as busy. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's because
Mm.
it was a Sunday. It wasn't as busy. It's me.
I don't know.
Whatever the reason, I was told that it was not as busy as it could have been.
Hmm.
It was very crowded, and it was crowded from break of day until the lights went out, and there was the California Adventure um, World of Colors, I think is called thing at the end of the day.
Okay, cool.
So it
Fun.
was crowded all day long, and but I didn't get to see everything in both parks. I only explored one of the two parks. This
Mm,
year, I did splurge, and I got the 2 park pass, so I can go to both parks throughout the day. Um,
nice.
in the California Adventure Park, like it's kind of silly, but I feel like there's a slight gender segregation between the two parks.
Okay.
California Adventure is right over here. Disneyland is right over here. They're right next to each other, and I feel like Disneyland has more princesses, and California Adventure has more of the basically everything else besides princesses.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean there. I think that's probably true.
Yeah. But so maybe I will fall more in love with Disneyland if I explore the part with princesses. That sounds wrong. That
That
sounds bad. As soon as I said it, I regretted it.
just cut it. Cut it. Take it back.
That's not good.
Rewind. Yeah.
But maybe I will like Disneyland more once I go to Disneyland itself instead of
Right.
only having explored California Adventure. We'll see.
Are you a ride person? Do you like rides?
I don't like rides.
No.
I mean, if it's like a
Like a
gentle
merry-go-round?
ride, like a kid's ride, I'm okay with it. But anything that's even the slightest bit nerve-wracking, I do not like it. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like, I don't know, those things that go up and down really fast.
Oh, can I
Straight up
tell you a really good story about
plunge
that?
things. Yeah.
Okay. So when I was living in the Netherlands, there are these like a couple times a year, these little fairs that show up in town, and really no one knows who runs them. No one really knows like why they're there, but like they're just like a bunch of little rides and little games where you can win a teddy bear or something. And so I went there. This is probably back in like, oh goodness, 2008 or something. I went to one of these little fair things, and we were riding some different rides, and the rides are all very shoddily made. Like you can look at them and just know like this could probably break if I kicked it hard enough. And one of the rides was one of those drop rides. So you strap in and you put the bar over you, and then it goes up and it drops. Pretty classic, simple stuff. So I'm, oh goodness, would have been in like 8th grade. I was like 13, 14, probably weighed 100 pounds at most. And I decided to go with my friend on one of these drop rides. And so the guy, let me set the scene here. The guy that is like running the ride is listening to music in his big old headphones, is just jamming away. We get up on the little seat and just put the bar down, and the bar like clicks into place. And I realize I am too thin. The bar is not holding me in place. Like I can slip out from underneath the bar.
Ah!
So I'm like, oh no, okay. Hello, sir, please help me. He's listening to music, not paying attention. He goes back and starts the ride. Now at this point, I'm like, what do I do? So here's the bar in front of me.
I'm glad that you're telling this story about yourself, because otherwise I'd be afraid that you would die in the story.
Yeah, right. Like I'm glad that I'm secretly a ghost. I died. No. So the ride goes up, and I just can feel it, because already when it's even the movement of it going up, I'm sliding out of the seat, like from underneath the bar, and I'm thinking, wow, I don't want to die on a $2 or €2 ride at a fair in the middle of who knows where in Holland. So I'm holding on to this bar, and sure enough, it drops, and I go flying out from underneath the bar. Literally, the only reason why I didn't get flung probably 10 feet off, like it from in the air, was the fact that I was just death gripping this bar, and we went back up, dropped, back up, dropped. My body is like flailing. I probably look like those little like plastic guys that you in front of
Cars,
like car things that go like
yes,
this.
Yeah.
I look like one of those that's like strapped to the ride. Finally,
Oh my God.
yeah, the ride ends. I was like probably crying, sweating. I get off. The guy is like, oh, how like everyone can get off now. I was like, you effing whatever, like screaming, like you.
Did you really cuss him out?
I could have. I was like, I could have died, and like he didn't hear me because he was wearing his headphones, listening to music. I'm like, literally, and he wasn't watching. I'm like, I could have died, dude. Like the ride was like 10 feet in the air. If I would have fallen, I would have died. I'm like, what were you thinking? And he's like, sorry, dude. Like, but yeah, that's my story.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to ride those before, but now I definitely will never ride those.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm gonna say that probably Disneyland one's a little more qualified, a little more safe, probably not made out of like scrap parts that they found in the dumpster of like a Home Depot. Like it was probably like Disney ones I think are a little bit safer, but yeah, no, I can't do those drop rides anymore because that traumatized me.
I mean, and I'm a pretty thick guy. I've got some body mass to me, so I doubt that I would slip out of any seat. But still,
Yeah.
that is terrifying.
Yeah, nice little near-death experience.
Yikes!
Those
Is
are the
that
best.
your scooter that you did the video about right behind you?
Yes.
It is awesome. I need to run to the restroom for a minute. Why don't you tell people who are watching about your scooter?
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. You go. I will chat. How's everyone doing? Some people are still there. Hi guys. PaulTalks says A ride that is okay the first time still might make you sick if you ride it 3 times in a row. That is true. Yeah, that's very true. I've done some rides like that where it's really, really fun and then it just gets less fun. Matt Polka says, I'd rather be on a moving forward roller coaster than those power towers. I also agree. I don't like things that go upside down. And yeah, anything made of wood freaks me out because I feel like it's less stable than steel. But otherwise, yeah, things that are going forward, I'm okay with. Things that drop, I feel like are just a little bit more terrifying. But yes, what else? Paul told me to talk about my scooter. Can you see it there in the background? It's great. I feel like a total dork riding around campus, and I love it. I had a Razor scooter. Did anyone else leave like chat here? Did anyone else have Razor scooters growing up? Because I did, and they were great when I was 8. But I bought one. If you watched my video about that scooter in the background, I talked about how I bought a Razor scooter at the beginning of this year, and yeah, I broke it within like, yeah. Hi, Paul. I'm just saying that I bought a Razor scooter at the beginning of this year, and it was great for like a month. And then I realized that, oh, Razor scooters are made for 8-year-olds who weigh 60 pounds. So I broke it very quickly because I'm not 8 and I do not weigh 60 pounds. So yeah.
And this one's holding up better for you?
Yes. Yeah.
This
Well,
adult-sized scooter?
It's an adult-sized scooter made by a New York-based transportation company that specializes in high-quality craftsman, U.S.-made scooters and other mobile devices for city walkers in the New York area. I am not sponsored by them, but I just felt like I should give them a nice advertisement because yeah, it's a really good scooter.
That's very cool. I want to, I never got the hang of using skateboards, but I want to see if I can get like an inexpensive penny board and just try to use that.
Oh, you're one of those YouTubers. No, I'm just kidding. It's really popular. It's really popular on YouTube now, penny boards.
Is it? I don't watch. I get the only vlogger that I watch who uses a penny board that I know of is Ariel Bassett. I think that I'm not sure if Connor Manning uses a penny board, if he just uses a skateboard. He uses something. But that's about all I can think of.
Yeah, no. Penny boards are, I don't know where they came from. I don't know who makes them, but penny boards are so popular now. And every big like YouTube daily vlogger, I swear, all of them have penny boards. It's like a trend.
Well, I'm not doing it for the trend. I'm just doing it because they look like cute.
No, I know.
I wouldn't kill myself riding one.
See, but penny boards are surprisingly more difficult to ride than other types of skateboards.
Oh, really?
Because they're so much smaller, so you have less control, and also you don't have enough space to put your feet. It's harder to balance. But the aesthetic is so much more appealing than a longboard. So like, do you risk your potential head for like looking really cool, or do you like look not as cool, but you know you're a little bit safer? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I like the aesthetic, so.
I know. See, that's literally, I legitimately thought about getting a penny board at the beginning of this year, and I'm like, Bridget, you have the worst balance in the world. You would never, you can't even skateboard. Why would you get a penny board? And then I answered my own question by just thinking, well, they're really cute. They're really cute, and I like the look of them.
That's pretty much my whole reason for it. Yep. Looking at the chats, I see that Josie Calloway says that there was a Star Wars part in Disneyland when she went there.
Oh,
Ooh,
cool.
I do like Star Wars. I take that back. I'm like better than neutral on Star Wars. I like it okay.
Right.
The new trailer, I love. I love the new trailer for Star Wars. Have you seen that yet?
Yes, the new trailer. My father is a huge Star Wars fan, and so I grew up watching Star Wars. I haven't seen it in years, but like I remember liking Star Wars, not like loving Star Wars, but you know, I as a nerdy person, I feel like Star Wars is one of those things that's kind of like, okay, yeah, I like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to. But yeah, the new trailer looks prime, really prime. The effects, the actors, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited. The Yeah, there was Lando Calrissian in the Empire Strikes Back and a little bit in Return of the Jedi, but otherwise, the Star Wars made it seem very much like there were no black people in the future. Which, what is the message behind that, George Lucas? What are you trying to say there?
I mean, yeah, that's a little.
Yeah. So I'm very glad that John Boyega is getting lots of screen time in the trailers, at least. Hopefully, he'll get as much screen time. And I actually saw somebody mention on Twitter that it would be neat if the whole story was told from the perspective of the black man stormtrooper seeing all this shit happening around him. Maybe he converts. Like maybe he goes from the dark side of, I guess it's the military, to the light side of the Force. I don't know, but that would be interesting.
That'd be great. That's a great idea. You should get on the team, right, Star Wars?
Yes. J.J. Abrams, watching this live stream right now, obviously. Give me a call.
Hey, listen, you've got Carly Rae Jepsen apparently on your side. Like, J.J. Abrams is clearly next in line to be your fan.
I mean, theoretically, the next person in line after Carly Rae Jepsen would be Justin Bieber. No, thank you.
Yeah,
all right. That's okay.
I'm okay. We like to pretend up here in Canada that Justin Bieber isn't our product. No, he's American. Like, what?
Yeah. There are plenty of other products that you can own instead, like poutine.
Yes.
That was a very Canadian reaction.
I know. It's just such an instinctual, like someone says poutine and there's like a little switch inside me, like, oh, 8? Where is it, eh?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's actually there are actually a couple of sci-fi TV shows that I really like that are from Canada.
Please do tell.
There's a Continuum. Continuum's from Canada.
I have not heard of that one. No.
Continuum is this show about like I think a few hundred years, maybe 1,000 years in the future. There is a police officer who is fighting against rebels, and the rebels who are basically the rebels in the future sound like they're pretty good because they're rebelling against a totalitarian government, I think. Right. And then they get a hold of a time machine, a prototype time machine, and they come back to present day Canada, like Toronto or Vancouver or somewhere, like some big name city in Canada that people actually recognize. And they try to influence events in modern days so that the totalitarian regime of future Canada doesn't happen. And when that happened, when the time travel event occurs, the Canadian like super cop, she's like some sort of combination of Secret Service / regular cop. She jumps into the time thing with them and comes back in time also. So she's back here in modern times as well, fighting them. They're using like futuristic technology in modern era. And it's really interesting because it's, first of all, it's just like a well done show, but there's lots of little time travel, time loop things that happen, which sound neat. And
interesting. I don't know why I've never heard of this.
And they talk about the socio-political aspects of it all as well. Like, what on the one hand, she's a cop who's trying to uphold what she thinks as like moral, lawful things, positive things for the future. But on the other hand, she learns more and more that the future she comes from is actually kind of a bad future that's kind of totalitarian and dickish. So maybe she doesn't want to support that after all, because she's actually a good person. And it's interesting on a couple of different levels. I don't know how big it is in Canada, but I heard about it because our U.S. science fiction channel, Sci-Fi, picked it up.
Good old Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi. And then I went back and I just tried to see if I could find on the internet all the previous seasons of Continuum just to watch them all from the I'd be caught up with Canada, even though Canada is ahead of the United States in watching the show. It's like a new British show, basically.
Yeah.
And I did that, and so I like Continuum. I think Continuum is really good.
Okay, I'll definitely check that one out. Canadian TV has a really bad rap for just being terrible. And so I'm just surprised that you even know any Canadian television shows at all.
I mean, Space is a Canadian channel, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Space is Canada's equivalent to Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi, yeah.
And that's where most of the shows I know about come from.
Okay.
And the other one that I know about is Lost Girl. Do you know Lost Girl?
No.
Lost Girl is
that you're more well versed in Canadian television than I am.
Lost Girl is an urban fantasy show about a woman who goes through most of her life into adulthood, not knowing where she came from, not knowing what her background is. But she has this power when she makes out with someone to suck out all their energy and they die. So
Oh,
she has to
I
figure
wish
out.
I had that power.
Do you? Aren't you dating someone? What are you trying to say about your
No,
current
actually,
status?
hold on. Let me rewind. Take that all back, because I know she's gonna watch this later, and I just want to clarify. Don't want that. Don't want that.
um, but yes, so she has this power. She doesn't know where it comes from, and the show starts when someone discovers that she has this power, and they tell her that she is a succubus, like fantastical, the
Right.
land of fairy type succubus. But
Right.
apparently, all the other things that we know from fairy, like werewolves and vampires and goblins and whatever, they all exist as well, but they're kind of like hidden from view.
Okay.
Um, so the whole show is basically just her, the main character, the lost girl who doesn't know where she comes from, discovering stuff about her background, discovering how to interact with the Fae characters who
Right.
exist around her. And also, she is canonically bisexual, which is awesome.
Nice. Go
And
Canada. Okay.
and she starts off being a neutral party. Like she refuses to side with the light or the dark. She refuses to. She wants to be in the middle and just like make decisions as she goes, rather
Okay.
than being forced to stick with one of the two, essentially political parties of the
Right.
Fae.
Right.
Which so there's a lot of interesting features, little interesting layers to that show. But it's also really really funny and
Oh,
pretty damn sexy, sexier than we could get away with on U.S. broadcast television.
really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I would think that, I mean, I guess Canada is technically overall more liberal, but I would think that US TV would be much more sexy than Canadian TV. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's so cold. I just figure we all have to wear parkas all the time. That's not very sexy.
I suppose not. We're also joined in the chat by Emily Eden. Hi,
Hi.
Emily.
Yes. Yeah, Josie says the sci-fi Canadian stuff is actually decent, but everything else is awful. See, and that's maybe my problem because I've never really watched Canadian sci-fi. I've only ever seen everything else, and it is very awful. And so there you go.
That explains it. But those are the
That
two shows I knew
explains it.
about.
There you go. I think the only Canadian TV show I watch a lot of Canadian cooking shows because I'm I wi- it's kind of one of those like living vicariously. I'm like, oh man, I wish I could eat that right now, or like cook that right now and then eat it. But so I watch a lot of that, and I watch The Amazing Race Canada. And I also
Okay.
watch The Amazing Race US, which I said that one day I will be on, and then I found out that I can't because I'm Canadian.
Would you want to be on the the Amazing Race Canadian?
Yes, now I do because now originally the first season they only traveled throughout Canada, and now they travel all around the world.
Oh, I see. I see.
So I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, if you stay in Canada, how amazing could that race really be?
Listen, like this just got like real here. Okay, no,
Well,
Canada's
that's obviously a joke because you've had your own series where you raced through Canada, and I saw how
exactly.
interesting it was.
Yeah, no, Canada's actually really interesting. But that being said, uh, there's only like you could really only do one season of The Amazing Race Canada just staying in Canada because like there's only so many cities with major touristy things that they do on the show that you know what I mean? Like they basically they hit them all in one season. They could go back and do a bunch of little towns, but like realistically, that's not going to gain many viewers. So I
No,
see the problem there.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I
yeah.
mean, I'm picking on you for a little bit for not watching those shows, but do you even have time to watch shows? Is there anything that you do stay up to date on besides Amazing Race?
I watch a lot of Gravity Falls. Just
Good.
finished.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love Gravity Falls. I just
Excellent.
finished the last episode of this past season, like on a break, like last week, and I died a little bit. I need the next season now. I want it to be like Netflix. Like I want it all now, all here, all now. So I
Was the
watched
last
Gravity Falls.
episode of the season the one where we meet Grunkle Stan's brother?
Yes, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, Paul. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, yeah, no, I wow, didn't see that one. I didn't see that one. I don't know where they're taking it, but like I love it. I just I love, what's his name? Alex Hirsch.
Yes.
He
Alex Hirsch.
seems like a really cool guy. I've seen a lot of like different things that he said and different things that like storyboards and stuff that have kind of shown that he's been really trying to promote inclusivity in his shows. And of course Disney keeps like rejecting him. But
Ah.
but yeah, like he tried. I saw a storyboard. I should say that I don't know if this is true, but it seemed quite legit to me. I saw a storyboard that, you remember the episode of Gravity Falls with the love god?
Yes.
Originally, apparently, was supposed to be non-binary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's a shame that they didn't stick with that. Hmm.
yeah, I know. It just, but like Disney kind of I feel like Disney or not Disney. I'm sorry, Nickelodeon. Wait, is Gravity Falls Disney or Nickelodeon?
Gravity Falls is Disney.
Gravity Falls is Disney. I feel like either way, I feel like those youth-based channels are that creators are really trying to push diversity, but the channels are still like, we don't know. It's like Korra, where like they cut Korra, and then the creators were like, well, I guess now we're just gonna, we're gonna do what we're able to do, and they did it, which was great, and it made me really happy. But I wish that they could do more of it and show it on live TV.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's animated, so that's not live TV.
You know what I mean? Like I wish it didn't have to only be published on the internet, because like,
Gotcha.
right?
Well, they did bring Korra back to broadcast in the United States for like the last 3 episodes.
What is the point of that? Like,
I mean, basically, they were just Nickelodeon was just conceding. Oh yeah, I guess people do really like this show,
yeah,
so we're gonna go ahead and appease them by saying yes, you can watch these on air in addition to being on the internet. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a really weird move.
Yeah, I don't understand that like at all. I remember reading about that and just being like, when they took it off air and are just publishing it online, and I was very confused as to what their strategy was there. But
I can't. I mean, no, I can't even come up with an explanation for it. It's just very strange. But yeah, there's certainly a conservative, protect the children attitude at Disney, but what they're protecting the children from are things that would only upset a conservative person.
yeah, the protect the children argument always just makes me cringe, because I think to myself, I'm like, that there are children that fit in these demographics. So by protecting the children, you're just not being like, you're not showing the kids that are potentially bisexual or are potentially gay or are potentially whatever. You're taking out their inclusivity. Like, I don't understand this. Like, and also it's the idea of like, protect the children. I'm like, what are you wanting to protect them from? Like, these things happen in real life. Like these types of people exist in real life. It's not, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I know what you mean, but it is a
Hi, Drew.
fundamental component. There's my dog.
Oh.
I don't think that she can really see you.
No, look, she totally does. She feels me.
She can't hear you. I'm wearing earphones.
I know, but she feels that my presence, and she feels that I'm sending all of my love.
I'm sure that she does.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. I was just going to say that the idea is that conservative people, particularly Christians, I'm not sure of any other people who feel this way, but certainly conservative Christians feel this way. They feel that non-binary, non-heterosexual, non-cis, basically anything that is not cis heteronormative is not just weird, but literally bad. They think it's literally bad and a choice to be bad. Hence, it is a sin. If you have no choice, it can't be a sin. But if you can choose to do that, it is a sin. And there's been a recent example of, there's that like mechanic in Detroit who's literally said that if you come in and I can tell that you're gay, I am not going to give you any service. I will refuse to work for you. Nice. That is the bullshittiest bullshit I've ever heard. He should be arrested.
I know.
But nope.
Hey, I mean, listen, I went to Catholic high school, so I know, like, I know what's up. We were taught a textbook Okay, in grade 12, we don't do sex ed in Catholic school because that would be wrong. But but we did something called theology of the body, and which I just saw your eyes widen a little bit into fear, Paul. Like, but like, yeah, basically, we were taught that first of all, women are weak and emotional, and therefore are just going to be sad if you have sex pre-marriage. And I was taught a textbook in which one of the sections gave me links that said if you're having same-sex attraction, here's where you can go and get help, and here's the website that you can go to with forums to talk to other people about your issue, and like some potentially conversion therapy and whatever else. And I'm like, wow, this is Canada. This is Canada.
I mean, it's not as if it's any better than the United States. I'm pretty sure we're as bad or worse.
It's true. It's true.
I don't know. I don't know how many times people of the rainbow community in Canada get beaten to death, but it happens a lot in the United States.
Yeah,
We're number one.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Even the Indiana thing I'm reading about a lot. It's Indiana, right? That has the Religious Freedom Act.
Oh yes, RFRA. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh.
I'm actually, it's on my list of things to make an actual vlog about, where your religious freedom means that you will not be arrested for having a religion, and you can believe whatever you want. That says absolutely zero about enforcing your ideas on anybody else.
Yeah, I did a whole in my grade 12 Catholic school. I wrote a whole paper about that, about religious freedom versus freedom of religion. And like basically the law states that you are able to believe what you want to believe, but from that point on, that means that other people are also allowed to believe what they want to believe, and
right.
their rights and ideals and are protected by the law, and your religion is not enforced in the law. And yeah, because we did a whole unit on like gay marriage and abortion, and you know, gay people shouldn't be allowed to adopt children. And I'm like, I can't, like I literally can't even or odd. Like, it's terrible.
You did a section about this in your school?
Oh yeah, we did. Well, we had a mandatory religion class, and that was my religion. What my religion class was about.
I see.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really good time.
There's some sarcasm there, yeah?
Oh, yes. Yeah, let me clarify that. Very sarcastic. It was a terrible time. It was a great time for learning what people seem really nice, but are secretly very bigoted until you ask them directly. Because we literally had a debate. We were like, for 1 month. 1 month, how do we drag a debate like this out for 1 month? We basically, the prof or the teacher said, okay, if you believe that gay marriage should be legal, go to the right side of the room. If you believe that gay marriage should be illegal, go to the left side of the room. And it was literally just like a whole bunch of people just walking over to the left. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I never would have guessed, but I guess it makes sense.
I don't know if that's a good approach for a teacher to make students do, because that inherently makes.
Yeah.
It inherently introduces peer pressure into the scenario of saying that you are okay with gay people.
Oh, I'm not saying that it was good at all. Like it was terrible. It was very offensive and awkward, and yeah. And also I just don't understand, because I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people were so confrontational about it, in the sense that they were so willing to like argue with me about it, and I'm like, do you not realize that I'm gay? Like, did they not have the realization? Like, I'm pretty gay. Like like I don't understand. I just don't understand it.
I mean, how long had you been out at that point?
I was not.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're not out.
I mean, okay, fair enough. But at the same time, we had to wear a uniform. Let me just give you an example here. We had to wear uniforms for mass days, and the female uniform was either black pants or a black skirt and a black shirt with a tie. And I wore black pants, a a button-up shirt, and I tied my tie into a bow tie. Like, that's pretty gay. I was very, yeah. And I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I won't disagree with you, but I will say that if you are not out, then it's pretty easy for a person who wants to deny the important existence of queer people, the existence of queer people. They'll do it at the drop of a hat.
It's true.
Easy to do that. Josie says in the chat, Canada is not nice. We're just passive aggressive.
That is so true. Thank you, Josie, for describing exactly what Canada's like. Except, no. Canada's very nice. Everyone else outside of Canada needs to believe that we're nice, because that's like our aesthetic.
It's awesome. That is Canada's aesthetic.
Yes, it's true.
Weirdo from Pluto says that Raymond Taval was killed in Halifax in 2012.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who that is,
but I'm assuming that is somebody who was out and was killed for that.
Yeah.
Apparently his killer was, I don't know, there's some complexity there apparently.
Yeah, that's, oh dear. Yeah.
In the chat, Kat says, I've had some fantastic conversations where halfway through the person has realized that I'm gay and kind of goes, oh.
Yeah, that happened. That's happened to me. Actually, funny story. I after going through this like Catholic school and going through religion classes where I was basically taught these things, and then when I eventually people found out that I was gay, one of my profs said to me like, "Oh, I would like to apologize if I personally offended you," and I'm like, "Well, okay, thank you, but it's not really about offending me. It's about just in general being offensive." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, I appreciate that you don't want to personally offend me, but it shouldn't really matter at the end of the day. It's more about the fact that like you probably shouldn't be spewing these sorts of information to impressionable children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of adage or idiom about how what is it? Your true character is revealed when you don't think you're going to get in trouble for anything that you say or do. That's
Exactly.
when you reveal your true character. When you don't think that you're going to get any trouble for what you say or do. And so that that teacher was revealing their true character all along, and then tried to apologize to the one person they thought might get them in trouble.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's interesting. I have lots of great stories from Catholics. That's the one thing that I took out of Catholic school, is I have lots of really great stories of just like the absurd, like to the point where it's kind of almost funny, just like how absurd the things that we were taught or the things that we learned. Yeah, and I sometimes I tell people those stories and they think it's not even, it doesn't even seem real. Because it's like, wow, we live in 2015 in a fairly liberal country. How do things like this how are these things still taught in school? But
I mean, I don't know. It's enough material for an entire vlog on its own, if not an entire 2-hour discussion. But
yeah.
the fact that any educational systems that are in any degree funded by government, by taxes, that public educational systems can take that money and then teach hatred in some form. Is insane to me. I don't care if you call it a religion, if it's a religious school. I don't care if it is teaching about sex education. Whatever the context of it is, that's what it ends up being. That's what it ends up being. And in the United States, it is often the case that people don't go to religious schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools. They just go to school, a public school, and in that school, there's supposed to be prayer. There's supposed to be they're supposed to be taught about Christianity and Jesus Christ. They're supposed to be taught about sex education, which excludes anybody who is not heteronormative, hetero-cis. It's and my taxes, if it is nationally funded, and certainly my taxes if it's in Maryland, my taxes support that. I definitely do not personally support that, but my money does, and that sucks.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. It's rough. It's really rough. Oh, there are lots of problems with that.
Yes, there are. Do you consider yourself a Catholic now, or have you in the past?
No. I shouldn't say it like that, because you know what? not to be like hashtag not all Catholics, but like, but like, but like,
Tweeting that.
but I mean, I have many Catholic friends who consider themselves Catholic that I met through Catholic school or in other ways that are great people that believe in that type of religion, but don't believe it in a way that it spews into other aspects of their life where they end up judging people or they feel like, you know what I mean? But no, I have never considered myself Catholic or religious in any kind. I just, when we were going to move back to Canada from Holland and we were looking for a school, I had never been, fun fact, other than elementary school, I had never been in a public school before because I was always living internationally. And so I wasn't going to a public Dutch school because I don't speak Dutch. And so I was always in international schools, and my parents had this interesting concept that public schools were going to end up with me, I don't know, being like murdered or something, I don't know. And so yeah, my dad was like, oh, there's a great Catholic school, and I was like, that's a bad idea, let's not do that one. And he was like, no, like it's gonna be great, like I went to Catholic school when I was a kid. He's not Catholic either, but he was like, I went to Catholic school when I was a kid, it was great, it was fun, like you'll have a great time. I'm like, I don't think I will, like I don't think you understand how much it's not a good idea. But I went.
I mean, you survived, which is good.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Were there many other people that you knew were gay or otherwise queer at your school?
Well,
were you the only person?
No. I dated someone for 2 years in secret at my school.
Aww.
And yeah, and which is another funny story in itself because, again, we were very secretive about it, but by the end, like, I went to prom with her. No one guessed. No, everyone was like, oh, they're gal pals. I'm like, are you joking with me right now? Like, it's so obvious. How is no one realizing this?
I mean, I can imagine you in like a cool, like a turquoise suit with like ruffles on the front and a bow tie. Is that how you dressed?
No, I wish. I wore a dress for like the only time in my life because yeah, no, I hated it. It was just my reasoning was I had just come out to my parents and told them that I was like, hey, I'm going to prom with this girl. Awkward. And yeah, and we had already bought the dress. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like, have this big revelation
So
with my
pick your
parents.
battle sort of moment.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I wish that would have been cool. Really cool.
Well, if you ever make it to VidCon, you can pack a seafoam green tux and pull it out for the VidCon prom, and I guarantee you, people would love it. You would be swarmed by people loving your outfit.
Oh yes, that's my dream. I just wish I could wear a seafoam green tux all the time. Really? Why? Can I ask you why?
You're an adult. Green? You can make your own adult life choices.
No, it's true. It's true. Why seafoam green? Why did that color come to your mind specifically?
It always shows up in like 80s movies with prom. It's like the dorky outsider character wears that.
Yes. Oh, so you're calling me a dorky outside? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, I am. I've known you for over a year.
Oh crap! You're on to me. You're on to me, Paul. But yeah.
I like the cat in the chat has done a hashtag gal pal.
Hashtag gal pal. I know. No, literally. It's like, yeah. They're just best friends. Such good friends. Like, ooh, that's weird and uncomfortable.
I mean, I have a bi friend who's often has difficulty because she'll go through phases of dressing more femme, presenting more femme, versus phases of presenting more butch. And if she presents femme, it's hard for her to come across as queer, as a coded queer, because she just acts girly when she's presenting femme. She doesn't do anything as long as she's not with her partner. On her own, she can seem very stereotypically feminine and heterosexual because she's not making out with anybody.
Yeah.
As soon as you see her making out with her girlfriend, then you'll know.
Oh yeah, okay.
On the other hand, when she presents more butch, she has no difficulty in letting the community around her know of her orientation.
Yeah. See, and that's why I am. Should I say lucky? I don't know if that's the proper word, but like because I am I present in that way. I do it for a multitude of reasons. One, because I like the way I look, and two, because I don't want boys to talk to me. I just don't want. I just don't want it. I don't like when guys try and whatever with me. I'm not interested in it. I have many male friends, but it's just very uncomfortable for me to be like, haha, yeah, no, I am not interested in you at all for a number of reasons. But yeah, my girlfriend is more feminine presenting, more femme for sure, and she, yeah, she's had a few scenarios of guys being interested in her, or coming onto her, flirting with her, and she hates it more than I do. So that makes me feel bad for her and simultaneously kind of laugh, because I'm more like, if I don't like it, but if somebody tries to whatever with me, I can easily play it off. For her, she's like, oh no, I hate it. Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, these are very lesbian reactions. I think that you have identified your own orientation very well.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
on both of you there.
Yeah, exactly. My Josie in the chat said my nana saw a butch lesbian couple and said, "Wow, those two look like such nice friends," and yet they were cuddling. But here's the problem: is also, I think, because um, generally what I found is that my female, or my lady women friends are so much more affectionate generally with other girls, just like my straight female friends.
Yeah.
It's more societally accepted for girls to be like more touchy, huggy, affectionate with each other than it is for guys. And so, yeah, that's just, I think it's ingrained in
I
a lot
mean,
of people.
again, it's something we could talk about for hours, but it boils down to, I think, the fact that male to male affection is seen as just gay, and
Yeah.
gay is associated with wrong by so many parts of our culture, whereas woman to woman affection is seen as for men. You know, lesbian porn
Yes.
isn't for lesbian. Lesbian porn is for men who get off
Yes.
on that.
Yes.
It's the hetero male gaze coming into play there in both circumstances. That's why women can be affectionate with each other, and it's societally allowed, because even if it's not particularly intimate, it is a subset of the larger
Right.
male gaze saying, yes, women should get it on because I'm okay with it as a straight male, which
I was
sucks.
literally talking about this yesterday with somebody. I said, there's there's a lot of, in all forms of like discrimination or bigotry, there's different types, right? Like, homophobia doesn't always mean like, oh, I hate gay people. Like, it's homophobic when men are okay with lesbianism because they think it's hot.
Yeah.
That's still a form of discrimination. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that two women can go to a party and make out and all the guys are like, yeah, 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 but then two guys can go to a party and make out and the reaction will often be more negative. That's a form of homophobia in both of those situations, right? For two different reasons, which is, yeah, very interesting.
It is a mess, is what it is. Weirdo from Pluto says, in Rwanda, men can walk down the street holding hands, and that isn't gay because in Rwanda, they don't believe they have homosexuals. Wow.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's just so absurd.
I wonder if the same thing is true as in Russia, because Putin said that there's no homosexuals in Russia either.
Definitely not, even though there's a whole bunch of people protesting because they say that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Oh, Kat Young agrees with me, saying that lesbian porn is for the male gaze. Oh. Kat said that lesbian porn is for the male gaze, Gaze, and her roommate thought that she meant male gaze, Gays, and was very confused. That's hilarious.
Hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. That would also be a little confusing, but no, that's funny.
That is very funny. We've actually already been talking for 2 hours. It's been 2 hours now. Can you believe it?
Wow. Paul, time just flies, doesn't it?
It does, and it's been fun.
Yes.
Are there any last things you want to talk about? I think I want to wrap up and try to get out and enjoy some more of the sun before it's all gone.
No shame there. I have to study, so I'll live vicariously through your sunlight enjoyment.
Thank you very much. Any
But,
last topic you want to talk about? Any last things you wanted to say?
Not really. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Thanks everyone for coming and chatting with us. I realized just now that I don't have a lower third. I didn't have a lower third on throughout this whole video, but
That's
obviously,
okay. We did announce who you were, and we did say
yes,
from the Mouse and Sneakers YouTube channel.
yes.
And I'm going to have a link to your channel in my description so that people can go and subscribe to you after this.
Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited. I'm just excited about this summer. I think there's going to be a lot of cool things. Like I'm doing a lot of traveling this summer, so I'm excited to be doing that.
Excellent. More travel logs from that?
Oh yes, yeah. I'm going. I don't know if you saw. I announced I'm going to Croatia in the summer.
I missed that. Holy moly, Croatia!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah, so everybody who's watching this or listening to this podcast, go to my description and click on Bridget's channel link and subscribe to her so you can check out those travel logs. I'm sure those are going to be awesome.
hopefully.
Very cool. I am not going to do another live show next Saturday. I believe I'm skipping that one. I'm going to take a break. And then the Saturday after that, I think, is my live show with, I want to say Rowan. I think Rowan is that live show.
Exciting.
It was awesome. Rowan Ellis, AITHINNE on Twitter. If that's wrong, I will correct myself. But
Yeah.
I think that's the case. I have so many live shows coming up that I confuse them.
Fair enough.
But,
Busy man.
I do these live shows for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is that I want to bring my friends like yourself into the spotlight and let other people know that you exist and they should check you out because you're great on YouTube.
Thanks.
But also just because it's nice for me because I get a chance to chat with you online, and it's
Yes.
for some reason doing these as live shows rather than just like having a phone call. This is easier for me. I'm okay with
No, for
this.
sure.
I think
No, for
phone calls stresses me out.
I feel like it's also more personal, obviously, like talking. I know we're not actually face to face, but we're the closest thing. We're the closest to face we can be over the internet, and we also get to incorporate so many other cool people, all the people in the chat, which is really really awesome. Google's done really well with the Hangout.
They really have. This has been brilliant. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to say, as always, thanks to all of you for watching and listening if you've done this to the podcast. And tomorrow will be even better. That's my sign off.
Squeak.
Excellent. I was just going to ask you to do your sign off. Yay.
Yeah, there you go.
Bye, everybody.